Hello, welcome to another impromptu The Devil Wears Dog Hair. It's Saturday. It's hard to know what day it is, isn't it, at the moment? 28th of March, and I've just done a radio interview with BBC Radio Surrey. And one of the topics we discussed was, what is the situation at the moment with regard to exercising our dogs? Now, it is very hard to know what to say about this because, well, it's dividing the nation. I think if you've got a big garden and only one dog, you're going, I don't know what all the fuss is about. But there are a lot of people who don't have a big garden and have a lot of dogs. And the way that they have survived and acquired so many dogs is they usually put their dogs in the car and take them either to a secure rented field where they can run around and play, or they go somewhere remote where they can walk them all off lead and not encounter anybody. Now, since lockdown, we've all been being good and staying home and not making unnecessary journeys. But if they were to just open their front door and take in some cases, 10 or more dogs out onto the street, well, they wouldn't be socially distancing. They would possibly be flat on their face because they'd be pulled over. It's very difficult, isn't it? Because we all want to stay safe and we all want to stop this virus from spreading. Now, a lot of people who are probably, stuck in a house with 10 dogs are going, we've got to do something. We've got so many dogs in a small space. They need to have a run about. Can't we just put them in the car and do what we always do? It's obeying socially distancing sort of criteria. We're not getting in anyone's way. But those people who are more hardline are saying, no, you can't do that, because if you have a crash or if you break down, you're putting extra pressure on the emergency services. I think this one is something for each person's moral conscience and each person's circumstance. I think we just have to do what we think is best. I personally am really enjoying the fact that I can walk out and not see anybody when I walk my dog, but I know I'm lucky. I'm lucky because I live somewhere remote. If I lived in a flat, our social isolation experience would be very different. It's difficult. I think each person's got to make their own choice because at the moment, legally, it's not clear. I think the government wanted us to use common sense and to stay safe. And if you feel you are doing your best, then, you've got to just go with what you believe. And, let's all get through this and let's pull together in isolation and just not shout at each other, because it's not going to change people's behaviour or minds. I think the danger is if we do make it a right for people to be able to put their dogs in the car and take them to a field for exercise that's only they have access to, there are some disingenuous people who will use that as a loophole to continue with unhelpful behaviour. So I do think it's down to each person to make their own judgment call, but don't expect it to be clarified by the politicians, because there are so many infinitely small decisions that we all have to make, and we just have to do it with a good heart for the best interests of everyone in society and just not do anything that puts people at risk. Certainly if you are using a communal field, or if you're walking anywhere where there's, like on my walk, it's a public footpath and there is a gate that you have to open. And in Spain, I hear that you have to wear gloves if you go out and use like a trolley at the supermarket. You have to wear disposable gloves. We don't seem to have got into that here, but that's probably the most dangerous point on our walk, is using that gate, because everyone has to hold it's got those disabled friendly device things on it that means that you can open it with one hand, but every hand that's touched it, yeah, you've got to wipe that and wipe it on the way back. But how many people are doing that, and how many people aren't? It's a risk. But life's full of risk, isn't it? But it's all about reducing the risk and getting through this, and keeping the NHS only dealing with people who can't avoid getting ill, who are already ill and don't know it. So yes, use your head, use your heart. Ask yourself the question, is it an essential journey that you're making? And it's for your own conscience what you do. Don't expect any group acceptance or attack. Just we all have to do our best. And if you can manage without sticking all the dogs in a car, then do. If you really can't, then try and make sure you're only travelling at times no one else is. Make sure that you drive really carefully and have a plan. If you break down or if you have a crash, that means that no one puts themselves at risk to come and rescue you. So maybe have a buddy scheme with another person doing the same thing that will come and rescue you. Yes, it breaks all the rules, but at least it's two people who are covering for each other, so that nobody else who's is anyway impacted by what you're doing. Well, end of lecture. But it's difficult, isn't it? There's so many questions at the moment and so much contemplation, because really I don't think anyone's got much else to do apart from moan about other people's behaviour. And people are being quite rude to each other. It's really unpleasant, because people are becoming polarised into people who are complaining about people who are taking their dogs away to walk, and people who are sanctimoniously saying, well, I'm all right, I'm doing all right, and oh dear, let's just all be nice to each other and try and do things for the right reasons. Okay, end of lecture. Was there anything else? Dog grooming, yes. Some dog groomers have had words with their MP and are continuing. But other people, again, are saying, no, this is far from essential. Groom your own dog at home. And there are wonderful Facebook groups springing up where first-time self-groomers are sharing photos of their efforts. And well, if you want to laugh, go and have a look. But it is quite a skilled job, isn't it, dog grooming? And the actual trimming business, yes, there's going to be some atrocities. But human hair is also going to be self-administered. And yes, we won't recognise ourselves after this, will we? No. But, well, life in isolation. Well, for me, it's not isolation. I've never had so many people in the house. Yes, we're absolutely full to the brim. Mainly because, yes, we've got a few rooms, and yes, but it's like Christmas. It really is. Every day. Only it's not Christmas, is it? Maybe we should just pretend it is and start playing board games. And, well, the television's rubbish at the moment, isn't it? So, yeah, it is a bit like Christmas. Anyway, look after yourselves. Don't take any risks. It's difficult when the sun is shining and it all seems pretty idyllic, but down the road at the hospitals, difficult decisions are being taken. And you suddenly realise the contrast between the safe home with the gorgeous dog and your family, or just the gorgeous dog, or I feel sorry for people who don't have a dog. It must be very difficult. Yes, stay safe. You know, you're not stuck indoors. You're actually safe and lucky because you're not ill. So stay safe. Stay positive, because, you know, we're going to get through this. There's going to be another side to this. We're going to get through it. And gosh, you know, can you imagine in the future that we lived through 2020? You know, it's a badge of honour, isn't it? I mean, gosh, I mean, whoever expected this year to be such a, well, it's a nice easy one for people studying history in the future, isn't it? I mean, like 1066, 2020 will be one of those dates that students will never have a problem remembering. Anyway, have a lovely Saturday. Perhaps we should invent new days, because I don't really think there's a weekend anymore. It's weekend every day, isn't it? So, yeah. If you have any suggestions for what we can rename the days, yeah, come find me on Facebook. Let's have a virtual chat. Look after yourself and give your dog a hug, but not an invasive hug, only if the dog's consensual. Okay. Bye-bye. See you soon.